I'm on a date right now, and we're going over celebrity crushes. And he just told me one of his celebrity crushes is Jessica Alba. And I was like, okay, perfect. Mine is Annalie Choppa, and he didn't know who that was, so I'm pulling up pictures. And I'm like, okay, I get a pass for him. He's like, no, you don't. I'm like, you would get a pass for Jessica? Like, what in the world? He's like, I wouldn't do that. Why in the world in what world would he be in the same room as her and have the opportunity to and not do that? Like, I would be mad. Okay, a celebrity that doesn't have herpes.
I wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do it?
No, I wasn't raised like that.
Halle Berry is in the room and you're not doing it.
No, if we're married, not a chance.
What if I tell you it's okay?
No, it's not okay.
First of all, men like young women. Halle Berry is 58. I thought women kept up with pop culture. Like, how is she your go-to sex symbol reference? Also, check out her look of like utter shock and disgust when he says, I wasn't raised like that. I wouldn't do it. Like, that has blown her mind that he's not some sex-obsessed animal who actually has some honor and integrity and wants to practice fidelity in his marriage. That's just unthinkable. Why do women hold such a negative view of men? The harsh truth is that women have a vested interest in perpetuating the myth that men are dumb, stupid animals who only care about sex. They want that to be true. Because if they acknowledge that men are actually not animals, that they are human beings who practice honor, who don't want to cheat on you, and that their desire for physical closeness is often about connection, not about sex, if they admit that, then suddenly their subhuman treatment and opinions of men look a lot less justified. They would then need to confront the uncomfortable reality men are not simple, you are just sexist. One of the phrases that you hear in the manosphere all the time that I really hate is that men are the gatekeepers of relationships and women are the gatekeepers of sex. I understand there's some truth to it, but I don't like it because it makes men seem like the only thing that we want is sex. But that is simply not true. When men watch this video compilation of all of the evenings when a husband returns from work and his wife is greeting him, when they see how excited she is, how she jumps on him, how they kiss and they hug, a lot of men feel inspired or jealous. I want that kind of affection. I want that closeness. The envy that men feel looking at the kind of marriage that this guy has is not about, oh, that guy's so lucky because he's going to get to see her naked and sleep with her. It's not about that. They're just admiring this beautiful, sweet, feminine gesture and thinking how amazing it would be to have a woman like that in your arms who is that excited to see you. The real problem is not that women are the gatekeepers of sex. It's that they are the gatekeepers of touch, including platonic touch. Women decide how much physical affection men are allowed to receive, how much they are allowed to show, and in what manner. When it comes to deciding who and how men can touch and be touched, it is women who make the rules. That's tough for men because non-sexual touch is essential for mental health and emotional well-being. Touch is what releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. There are lots of men who live in sexless marriages, and yes, they would love to be able to sleep with their partners. But for lots of guys, what they're really desperate for is a cuddle. To have her rest her body on him. To be held, to be touched, to be stroked. To just be intimate and inside each other's spaces. They want that physical closeness. But it is very useful for women to have men starved for touch. Firstly, because men's desperation means that women can dole it out and then withdraw it to reward and punish male behavior and further their own agenda. But also because women know that a man who is touched, who is held, who is cared for, he's going to soften as he finds acceptance and emotional release. But that's not good for women. Someone needs to be doing the military and the police stuff. Someone needs to be doing all of the dangerous jobs, all the back-breaking physical labor. Nobody admits this because it's almost too awful to say this out loud, but there is a very good reason why men's mental health is never going to be a priority for feminism. If men are being touched and held and cared for and they soften, then women have just lost a huge amount of leverage. What's preferable is having a population of men out there who are starved for touch, who are desperate for some affection, because those men will continue to fight and struggle and work in a desperate bid to prove themselves in the hope that one day they can get a small reward. Having men be touch-starved makes them a lot easier to manipulate. Women can continue their comfortable existence while men die on the front lines. So you can see it is not an accident that women portray men as dumb, sex-obsessed creatures. It is by design. They have a vested interest. They want that to be true.
Oh, you're wondering if he likes you? He doesn't. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He just wants some ass. You know what? I'm right, you're wrong. Even if he does like you, he still wants some ass. So A plus B equals C no matter what. They want ass.
No, he doesn't. A lot of the time, he just wants to be close to you. He wants to touch and be touched. But what's so sad is that for men, sexual touch is actually one of the only socially acceptable forms of touch that we permit masculinity. I don't think that women truly understand what I've just said there because they don't experience this. Women are touched all of the time. They hug people, they hold hands with their friends, they sleep in the same bed, they dance with each other. Have you ever seen that at a club? Like women just like full on like dancing on each other. Straight women, the dancing, it's not sexual, but there's a lot of touch that women do. Men don't have that. Men are touched way less often than women are, and it starts very early. Even as little kids, when sons are compared to daughters, sons get picked up less, they get less hugs, less being held. And once a boy reaches his teenage years, that's usually where all touch just ends. It's like as soon as a boy becomes aware of his sexuality, nobody touches him anymore. How does that make sense? Like just because he now craves sexual touch, that doesn't mean that his needs for platonic touch have just magically disappeared. Society loves to demonize men like, oh, the only kind of touch they ever want is sexual. Well, yeah, that's like the only touch that we're ever allowed to want. Like they are literally taught by their own parents sometimes that all touch is sexual and that's why they're keeping their distance. So you've got boys out there playing rough sports and starting fights. And yes, it's because they're boys, they like to compete. But it's also because aggression is one of the only outlets that boys can have to actually experience touch. What the hell are we doing acting like this is some kind of luxury? It's not. Being touched is a human necessity. We cannot go without it. And even in mental health, the bias continues. When they did research on therapists, they found that when compared to male clients, female clients were 50% more likely to be hugged, twice as likely to have their hands held, and 3 times more likely to be cradled in their lap. Man, I am so fucking tired of the feminist narrative that men only care about sex. It's disgusting, it's bigoted, it's sexist, and it continues because it justifies the ongoing neglect of male needs. Physical touch is an essential part of your humanity. Knowing that you are worthwhile, you are valuable, that you belong, that you are loved. You can hear the words, but there really is no substitute for being in the physical, intimate space of another person, touching their body, allowing them to touch you. In the male world, touch also signifies status. High-achieving men get touched a lot. They're shaking hands, they're making deals, they're getting high-fived every time they succeed. If you're playing sports and you score a goal, all the guys jump on you to congratulate you, they slap your butt, and this has a flow-on effect. Women, seeing his status, that the guy gets touched a lot, they flirt with him, they're attracted to him, they want to touch him. But conversely, the low status man, he's never touched and he's not allowed to touch others. He is lonely in an emotional, psychological, and physical sense. He trudges through life feeling like his low status must be contagious, and that the reason why nobody touches him is because they don't want to get infected. The impact of this kind of isolation, it cannot be understated. And a lot of men don't realize how lonely and how starved for non-sexual physical touch they are until they have children. When he becomes a dad, suddenly he has kids crawling all over him. He's wrestling with his son, he's cuddling with his daughter, and the oxytocin release is incredible. A lifetime of neglect, a debt of physical touch finally being paid. Thank God for children, they are just the most incredible blessings. But for the guys who don't have kids yet, they're lost, they are confused. They want touch, but they're not consciously aware of what it is that they are missing. They have this unconscious need inside them, this drive, this desire. And yeah, sadly, that instinct, that urge often does get channeled through sex. But hopefully, women are beginning to realize that the male desire for sex is a lot deeper than it seems.
Something that I wish more women knew about men, their desire for physical intimacy and is more emotional than it is physical. If it was physical, he can do that himself. He actually doesn't need us to satisfy those needs. But for them, they need that physical element in order to feel emotionally connected to us. But what she doesn't realize is that rejecting him is like him rejecting us for a hug. It's like we're saying, hey, I'm down and I need a hug right now. And he's like, no, I'm too tired for that.
Yes, there exists an opportunity here to stop the demonization of male sexuality, to engage with the deeper male need to have the human experience of touching others and being touched. And I do have a lot of sympathy for women who deal with unwanted sexual advances from men. I understand the caution, how awful it must be as a woman to reach out and offer platonic physical comfort to a man, only to have him sexualize that interaction. How uncomfortable for that woman, or just outright dangerous. I get that, and the women in my life have told me enough stories that I know that this does happen a lot, and that sucks. But what I'm saying is that we're not going to fix any of these underlying issues by just continuing to shame men. Instead of attacking them, why don't we try and understand them? Because perhaps if we did a better job of understanding men's true needs and we actively satisfied their desire for platonic physical touch, then maybe it wouldn't always need to be channeled through the sexual. Men would be happier and women wouldn't have to deal with so many unwanted sexual advances. So to any fathers out there, please go and hug your son. He needs it, and you probably need it too. Normalize it. Family is where we should be getting this need met. Now, some guys are probably not resonating much with this video. They're thinking, I don't really get this. I just don't think I'm a very touchy guy. But what I'm talking about here is not being some like new age, touchy-feely stereotype. And I'm not saying you need to go have cuddle parties with your male friends. That might be a bit weird, but I want to get practical. I want to actually give suggestions and tips for how you as a man can start to meet your needs for platonic, physical touch today. I'm going to use myself as an example and talk about all the ways I experience touch in my life in ways that aren't sexual. If this video has resonated with you, you are like, yes, this is a missing piece of my human experience. I want more of that and I want more information. You're going to enjoy the rest of this video. Keep watching. It continues on Patreon. What I post here on YouTube, these are just the short and abridged versions of my videos. Usually it's a lot of the theory. When I want to get into more depth and talk about practical implementation, I tend to cover that on Patreon. So if you want to keep watching, come join me there.